let's talk now about level 100. This is our high school American history program, and this one's getting a spine change. Before we dive into that change, for those maybe that are newer to Sonlight or don't understand how our history programs are put together, what do we mean by the spine and why are we changing what it used to be? It used to be something else. So can you tell us about that?
Right. Yeah, in our level 100, we had a history of us that we used as the spine. It was a series of books that we used, and it went through the various time periods of the history of the US. So it was very readable. It was very beautiful, and it really worked well. But we always update and we always look for the best of the best. So we want to make sure that our curriculum is relevant and current and using the best materials that we can. And so we've looked for a new book for a while, and we finally found one. The Spine is the one book or the series of books that goes throughout the year. And so generally it goes on a time period or shows you the time period, and then we kind of break off and read different books to match each time period. But it's the one book that goes throughout the whole year. So replacing the spine is a large revamp of everything. If we're changing every week, if we're changing all the reading assignments, it really changes the program and gives you a different feel. So changing the spine is big. And this year, so we're replacing Joy Hakim's A History of Us, and we're using this new book. It's called America, The Last Best Hope. It is by William Bennett. This book is actually, he originally wrote this book in 2 volumes. There's 2 volumes out there, and we have chosen to use the 1 volume edition. So it's a bit more approachable. It's a little bit more condensed than that, but he writes in such a great conversational tone, and he really does approach a lot of the controversial topics in a way that he approaches them evenly and shares both sides quite a bit. And we really appreciate that. And that's a lot of what Sonlight does, is we like to look at time periods or situations and look at from a variety of different viewpoints so we can really understand what happened to people during that time period. I really appreciated this book when I started reading it, that he does touch on a lot of the people and phrases that you hear about early American history. Paul Revere, he talks about him, he adds in those people, Ben Franklin, like all of the characters that we know of, the important figures. He really does touch on all of those and shows their place in history. So it's going to be a really great book, I think, for our high schoolers.
Along with that, I assume the instructor's guide is changing because I'm actually doing level 100 with my oldest right now. And so I know there's a lot of notes to explain both sides of the issues and things like that off of History of Us. Are there also going to be updates to any of the historical literature that's included, or is it just this book and the notes that center around this book?
We are changing others too. So we went through and evaluated to make sure that all of the books were the best. So we are removing a couple, but we're adding some great historical fiction as well that we believe will be just, like I said, these are the books that really bring those time periods to life, that like give them flavor, let us understand the situations. We have The Lions of Little Rock. So this one is about integration in the Deep South and how that happened, and from the viewpoint of a little girl that was involved in it. So that one's going to be a great one for our students to read. We have Constance, the story of the early Plymouth. So what life was like in Plymouth and what it was like for a girl, even not just the main figures that we know. And we have The Many Reflections of Jane Deming. So I think this is in the Washington Territory. So the Wild West, and what did that look like when it was first being settled? So there's that. And then we also have Out of Left Field. This one is later in history, in the mid 1950s, about a girl playing baseball. This one is, I think, in the series of the Green Glass Sea, which is another one that we carry in our high school program. So this one's going to be just so enjoyable, I think. But we really have gone through the entire program. We've looked at each book. We're writing new notes. It'll just be so engaging and so fulfilling for students to learn about American history and all the different things that went into building our country. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, we haven't seen as many big changes to high school. I'm excited. I'm going to have to get the new program when my youngest is ready for it. So.
Exactly. Yes.